Let's now turn our attention to the Convention People's Party, which earlier on Friday launched its 71st anniversary celebration on the theme Fostering Peace and Unity, the Way Forward for the CPP. The party was birthed on 12th June 1949 before a crowd of some 60,000 people, which had gathered on the old polo ground after founder Kwame Nkrumah resigned as General Secretary of the UGCC. Of course, the rest, they say, is history, as he subsequently became Ghana's founding president. But over the years, the party has failed to regain the glory that endeared it to Ghanaians and has been unsuccessful in making a comeback at the presidency. I will be joined shortly by the 2016 flag bearer of the party, Ivor Greenstreet, to discuss the party's relevance in the current political scene. If you can hear me, good evening to you. Thanks for your time on Joy News Prime. Mr. Greenstreet, you're on Joy News Prime, and good to have you.
I'm glad to be on. It's been a while. But I'd like to, first of all, point out some inaccuracies in your initial statements. May I do that?
Go ahead.
You will note that in 1979, there was an election in which the thread of the CPP was elected into power until it was illegally overthrown on the 31st of December 1981.
Correct.
That is a correction I want to make.
Okay, so at least the CPP has been able to gain power, but it was overthrown. Well, I just want to congratulate you for your 71st anniversary. But with all that has been happening in your party, some may say the theme for your party celebration, Fostering Peace and Unity, the way forward for the CPP, suggests the party is fractured. Do you agree with this school of thought?
You would have to elaborate further before I can suggest whether I agree or not. On what basis do you make that remark?
I mean, based on how people perceive the party as it is now.
So you're assuming that the basis upon which people perceive the party is purely on its internal issues or divisiveness?
Well, that's why we want to find out from the horse's own mouth, because you're a member of the CPP. You can tell us, you know the party
I'm still a member, but you made a categorical statement that that was the case, implying that perhaps that was your opinion. Is that your opinion?
I said people perceive. That's what I said. That's what the perception out there.
I see. Well, certainly, yes. In recent dates, certainly in the Fourth Republic, the party hasn't performed well at elections. Whether the failure to perform well has been purely for that reason, or whether it has been due to the structure of our politics at this time, there are many people who have different views. But certainly there are a lot of things that we clearly have to do far better if we are to be seen as a potential party to rule this nation and to take ourselves into where we believe Ghana should be. Clearly, any Ghanaian at the moment, whether an NDC voter or an MPP voter, would not have been happy with the achievements that have been achieved since the beginning of 1992 and this current democratic dispensation, although there are many good things as well. But the reality is, if you look at our society and the opportunities that are made available to its people to progress in their daily lives, far more has to be done to achieve greater satisfaction.
I see that you're trying to argue that there are no some kind of cracks in the party. These are some of the things we see in all the political parties, including the NDC, the NPP, and I presume the CPP is no different.
There are no cracks in the party. There are cracks in marriages between two human beings. Definitely there'll be cracks in larger human institutions like political parties. I certainly would never suggest that. There are cracks. There are cracks in CPP, cracks, as you say, in all other political parties. And it's important that we as a party find internal mechanisms and ways of solving those cracks so we can present a united front based on the ideas that we believe we have, which are entirely different to the MPP and the NDP, to try and improve the fortunes of this nation.
So 6 months into elections, we've been waiting for a flag bearer to be chosen by the CPP. You haven't presented one to us yet. What's your plan? What's actually the CPP's plan for the 2020 elections?
Well, I believe even the NPP have not presented their flag bearer. If you look at their own constitution,
last week they announced that the president Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo should go unopposed. So that's their flag bearer.
Well, what I can tell you about the CPP is that we have entirely completed all constituency elections, all regional congresses, which were completed towards the end of last year. At the beginning of this year, yes, we have had some internal problems with some party members who have different views about the way some things were conducted, but that has also been, affected by the intervening process of COVID, which has affected the country in its entirety. But as we speak, there are interventions being made by the Council of Elders and other well-meaning senior members of the party to try and deal with those issues and to try and present a timetable for the election of new national executives and the presidential candidate.
So going forward, what are you presenting to Ghanaians? What should we expect in the next few days, months to the 2020 elections from the CPP?
Well, clearly, first of all, we have to present those who would lead the party and those who would become the presidential candidates. And then on that basis, we would be presenting entirely different policies from which Ghanaians have been seeing so far. If you take a look at our country in terms of the natural wealth that it has, whether you talk about gold, oil, silver, bauxite, diamonds, cocoa, fertile lands, access to water resources, strong human beings, you would be amazed to know that, let's say, out of the gold that we have in our soil, currently Ghana as a nation earns no more than 3% from those resources. We will be bringing out policies for those who steer the affairs of the party to represent how we would attempt to change that. If you look at even what we earn from our oil and gas resources, I don't think the country earns more than 13% of those resources. And we are here talking about...
Hello, Mr. Greenstreet. You're still on Joy News Prime. I think we lost Mr. Ivor Greenstreet, who is 2016 flag bearer for the CPP. We're grateful for your time. We'll try and bring him back to complete his statement. We'll take a break.